Hopefully most of you are newbies, so I don't feel like I'm speaking about things that are kind of old and okay, this presentation is really old. I'll just be honest with you. The CMAs that rock is a 2015 presentation. However, what I want to do is take the basics and add to it. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that you can add to your CMAs. This particular presentation talks about marketing plan and talks about a CMA presentation. So, you know, getting ready to do the CMA, putting together your CMA, putting together your marketing plan, and then presenting it to your sellers. So, how many of you actually leave your CMA with your client, and why do you do that? So, raise your hands, put up your, just, you know, unmute yourself and talk. And then after you finish talking, please mute yourself again. Talk to me. I don't want to talk to myself. Come on, guys, participate. Help me out.
I missed the question.
Hi, Kim. The question is, how many of you actually leave your CMAs with your clients? Do you take your CMAs with you, and do you leave them with your client, or do you take them? Do you take them back and take them away?
I leave mine.
Okay, and why?
I just find it uncomfortable taking it, to be honest with you.
Okay, well,
I just feel a little awkward saying I've given you all this information and sorry, you don't get to look at it anymore.
Okay, so what I suggest is actually to put together a CMA that is so rich, and leave it on your tablet, or leave it, or even put it in one of those nice fancy hard covers that some of us have that you can use. However, don't leave all your information there, because they're going to take that information from your CMA or your marketing plan, and they're going to use it with somebody else who is offering something different, or their cousin or their uncle or whatever. Leave something that's more of a summary of what you're going to do rather than a detail of what you're going to do. So to me, that's kind of important, okay, when you're preparing your CMAs. All right, so I'm not sure where there we go. So speaking about our value proposition and what you're going to do in terms of your presentation, you know, we're going to talk about the basics. The key to your confidence and the seller's confidence is that you're prepared. Obviously, before I came on to do this presentation, I try to prepare myself and make sure that I'm doing the right things so that Cindy doesn't look at me and go, oh, there's Ahmed, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But I actually did a little bit more digging just so that I can feel comfortable. It's nice to see some familiar faces from our J&D peeps, as well as the Royal LePage peeps coming on. So obviously you're going to be prepared. How do you get prepared? You make sure that you know your stuff inside out. Two things that I'm going to add to this presentation. One of them is using your urbanation reports. If you do not use urbanation reports when you're talking about condo CMAs, it's a shame, because it's a tool that we all have access to, every single one of our corporate agents, whether you work at J&D or you work in downtown Toronto. It's something that we all have access to, and you have access through your manager, and I'll show you some of those reports for the particular building, as well as comparing one building to the other as well, things that do compare. The other thing that I'm going to talk about is using the demographics. When you are actually putting together a marketing plan, do you use demographics from GeoWarehouse? And if you don't, shame on you. You should be using that as well. That's something that's really important, that again sets you aside. It sets you totally apart from people that are just doing a very basic presentation. So going through our old presentation here, this is, like I said, a 2015 presentation that I promise you will be updating this year. We'll make sure that between Sandra and myself, we'll work on getting this thing updated for today's numbers, and also for what you are able to do. I mean, you've got so much information that's available to you in terms of how you're going to market. And I want to know who's doing what in terms of marketing as well, so we can all share and hopefully improve what we do together. So being prepared allows you to present a powerful presentation showing your advantages, benefits, and asking, obviously, to get a signed agreement at the end of it all. This package has two things: the marketing plan and a comparative market analysis, the CMA. And I'm sure most of you, and especially all these people that are on call that are actually very experienced agents, are thinking, well, maybe I might learn something about comparative marketing analysis or putting together a CMA that actually makes mine look a little bit better, or I can maybe find something. You're not going to get a whole lot of information here because this is very basic. However, I will give you a couple of tidbits so that you're not wasting your entire hour and a half that you're spending with me, but hopefully taking one or two things that you can add to your CMA and how you put it together. So you do have templates, and there are printouts that are going to be in your package. I understand that Sandra is going to be putting access to that package. If you haven't already received the access, it will be in the chat, as well as she'll be sending some information out to you in terms of the handout. Back in the day when we used to put our marketing plans together, we used to have a template that we would take out Mr. LePage's face and his information. We'd replace it with ours, and then we would put some information in regarding our own unique sales proposition, and then use the balance as a template that's already existed. That is part of what you're going to be receiving, and then hopefully you can take that and turn it into something more usable for you. So a marketing plan. Your marketing plan should be customized to your style and convey your unique value proposition. What is unique about you? Why should I use Cindy instead of using Kim, or instead of using Syed? Why should I call Syed and say, hey, Syed, can you help me with this? There's a reason, and you got to tell me what that reason is. When you come over and when I recruit people and I talk to people about coming and working with me in my office, I have to show them something unique and why they should join me instead of joining one of the other offices. And I can tell you, typically, I am competing with other Royal LePage offices. I'm not just competing with the Remaxes or the Keller Williams or the EXPs or whatever. I'm literally competing head-to-head with other Royal LePage offices. So when you're competing with a Royal LePage agent, what do you need to do? How do you show the difference between you and the other agent? There's got to be something why they should work with you, and it's not always about reducing your commission. There's a lot of times when people talk about reducing commission. The three things that every seller is looking for, according to the National Real Estate Association down in the States, NAR says that the three things that every seller is looking for are quick sale, most amount of money in their pocket, and then lastly, no headaches. So if you concentrate on those three things, which is what I tell my realtors all the time, concentrate on those three things, no matter what you're doing, whether it's a piece of marketing material, whether it's your marketing plan, whether it's your CMA, three things. I'm going to put more money in your pocket than anybody else, because that's what they're concerned about, more money in their pocket. But even before that is that you're going to sell this property quickly. And then lastly, you're taking away all the headaches. Concentrate on those three things and you'll be able to beat just about everybody. But you have to elaborate on everything you do. What you leave with them is a very basic information about what you're going to do with the CMA. So price, you're going to give them a price range and so on. But really, at the end of the day, it's about what you're going to do to get to that price. So a CMA is great, but you don't want to give them all the detailed information. You want to give them a, let's call it an executive summary. So what you're leaving with them, and I hope you don't give them all the details, Cindy, but what you want to do is give them an executive summary. So an executive summary of the things that you will be doing to get them those 3 things that they're looking for. Quick sale, most amount of money, and no headaches, right? But most importantly is the executive summary, okay? So let's go through this. Your marketing plan should, the marketing you will do, the marketing you do that others don't, and the marketing power of Royal LePage. There's a lot of information that you can get from RLP Sphere these days, by the way, that will really help you. RLP Network has a lot of information that you can add. Of course, for our G&D folks that are on the call, I hope you will be utilizing the books that you now have and the information that you now have for buyers packages and sellers packages. I hope that you have that available to you as well. So presentation, you obviously are going to use top quality, full color on quality paper. Cover should include your name, address of the seller and all that information, but also you need to go a lot further. Stop by the property itself, do a drive-by, take a picture of the property, get a little bit more information. Everything that you do has to be really, really, really detailed oriented. You have to detail everything that you do and push a little further. Don't just stop at, you know, I'm going to take a picture from the internet and just pop it on there. Actually stop by the property, take a picture of the property. They'll be kind of impressed and thinking, oh my God, they actually, somebody took the extra effort to come by and take a picture. Obviously, you're going to have your contact information on every page, and testimonials are going to be very important to show that you do what you say you're going to do. Obviously, the testimonials are there to say, I have people who I have done work for, and I have actually done all these things that I'm telling you I'm going to do. So your marketing plan should include a statement of your objectives and guarantees. Any of you actually offer guarantees? Anybody? No? If I don't sell it, I'll buy it? No? Nobody? I used to do that. I used to say, if I don't sell it, I'll buy it. I used to use the whole Craig Proctor attitude and marketing material. And there was always a whole plan of what it is I would do if I didn't sell it, how much time and everything else. So if you are going to have guarantees, then please make sure that it's all in writing and you've got something that you can actually prove. If Rico comes around and says, well, hold on a second, someone says that you've got this guarantee, what do you have? And can you tell us a little bit more about it? You have to be able to provide that. But having a guarantee or having all your objectives in place is very important to ensure that you've got something that you can tangibly use and give to people. Primary marketing services. The marketing services that all agents provide is something that obviously you're going to talk about. And then the advanced and exclusive marketing services. What do you have that you do that no one else does? Whenever you talk about detailed presentation of the product that you're selling, talk about a lot of detail. Don't just talk about, you know, I'm going to take pictures. Well, everybody takes pictures. What is it that you do differently? So I'm going to put a lawn sign. Okay, well, that's nice. Multiple listing service. Web. What are you going to do on the web? What is multiple listing service really mean? One of the jokes that people used to say, or, you know, I heard it so many times, that when somebody said, why should I go with you instead of going with the other person? And someone said, well, I'm going to put it on the MLS. Okay. Really? I'm going to go with you because I'm going to put it on the MLS? Well, yeah, the other guy never talked about the MLS. So when you don't talk about something, even though you think that everybody's going to be doing it, and you don't say why, then it makes no sense. It's really, you're sitting there going, you scratch your head and you go, they went with the other guy because the guy said he was going to put it on MLS. Really? That's all. That's the reason they went with the other guy. Well, you never mentioned it. You never said what good it does. You didn't say anything about it. So they decided that the other guy had more to offer than you did, or lady. So those are some of the things that can really hurt when you don't talk about it. All right, so web marketing. What do you guys do with your web marketing? Most people have a personal website. We have a brokerage website, which you all have your brokerage website to put information on, and obviously automatic listings that go on the website. National website, so you've got royallepage.ca, and again, we are told this morning at our Ontario brokers meeting that the national website, royallepage.ca, is only second to realtor.ca. None of the other brands, none of the other, even Kijiji doesn't get as many hits when it comes to real estate websites that Royal LePage gets. So obviously that's a huge power and a huge feature that you can use. Any other websites that you use? Do you use an actual website for your listing? Every time you list 123 Main Street, do you register a URL for 123 Main Street? If you do, then that's great. Do you have a specific 1-800 number that goes with that particular listing? That might be something that you do more than somebody else doing. Do you send out certain marketing material that goes for that particular website that you're gonna now use for that 123 Main Street? If you go the extra distance and you're adding extra things to your presentation, make sure that you're showing what you do. Again, why I should use Kim instead of using Cindy or instead of using Syed. You just happen to be the three people that I can see on my cameras first. Advanced marketing services that you're going to use. Obviously, you're going to talk about the brand. That's why you're with us, because there's brand power. If you're with J&D and you're in Central Toronto, then obviously you've got a different brand power there because it's an exclusive brand within the Central Toronto area. Whereas if you are out here in Mississauga or in Oakville and you're talking about Royal LePage, everybody can see that it's the sign everywhere. Relocation buyers. Who are you going to target when you're talking about relocation buyers? You may be talking about the multi-million-dollar client who's asking, what more are you going to do for me? It's not going to be the local buyers that are coming in to buy a $10 million home. Where else are you going to market for me? So obviously relocation, if you've got a SIPS designation, Certified International Property Specialist designation, you're going to be talking about that and how you're going to be marketing to the international buyers. And then other services that you may have that you can actually show. Office locations is going to be a huge thing, and we've got 10 locations across the GTA that you're going to be talking about being able to market through these offices, and the power of Royal LePage as a company, Royal LePage Real Estate Services as a company as well. So with Royal LePage, the brand, Royal LePage is the most recognized Canadian real estate brand among consumers. I think there's a whole lot that you can say about Royal LePage and what we've got to offer. If you have been around, I've been around with Royal LePage now for about 20 years. And if you have been around with Royal LePage, you have seen the 100-year anniversary celebration stuff that takes you back all the way to 1913 and how the Canadian company has been growing, and the market share that we have, the power that we have everywhere in all small towns as well as large municipalities that we have. Our market shares are pretty high, and we're about the same as some of the other balloon people in most big markets. Our listings consistently sell for a higher than average selling price. So that's, again, another talking point that you can bring to your people, to your sellers, in terms of talking about how you sell. So it's not just about, remember, the second most important thing to any seller is how much money you're going to put in their pocket. So the selling price and the strategy that you're going to use in order to get them that selling price. And then of course, social media. Social media right now is one of the most standard platforms, I would say, in terms of marketing, and your marketing in every social media. There's just about everybody is marketing on Facebook. If you're, between 40s, 50s, 60s, if you are, 20 to 40, you're on Instagram. Okay, most of us are on Instagram, even old people like me are on Instagram these days, and you post on Instagram, you're posting on Facebook automatically, you are dealing with people on LinkedIn, and you're definitely tweeting if you're anywhere around Donald Trump. So you're using all the social media platforms, and you will have to show how you use these platforms in order to sell more. So if you've got a property and you're going to boost that property, and nowadays you can use the RLP Sphere platform in order to boost these properties. So boosting the property is something that you're going to talk about in your marketing plan to ensure that your clients are aware that you're tech savvy and that you're using social media just like any young realtor who's coming up and doing the business nowadays, because that's what they talk about. They talk about social media and boosting properties on social media. So that's really important as part of your package. So out-of-town buyers, you've got Brookfield Global Relocations services, and I know that some of you deal with a lot of relocation people. Cindy, for one, I know has got some great connections with the relocation companies. Use that as part of what you offer. I have great connections with our relocation people, and I use that to ensure that I can get people looking at your property, not just here, but from all over the place. So there's one of the things that you can put together to say, I use relocation services to ensure that everybody has eyes on your property, even from out of town. Royal LePage Referral Network, you've got a power of about 19,000 now, not 16,000 sales professionals, but about 19,000 sales professionals across Canada. Use that power, because again, we're talking about our referral network as if we all work together, which we do, okay? And if you don't have the access to that referral network, you all should be part of RLP Nation on Facebook. If you have a Facebook account, hopefully you do, you should be engaging with people in the RLP Nation. You should be engaging with Royal LePage conference goers groups. You should be engaging with Royal LePage referral groups. There are so many different Royal LePage groups on Facebook. If you're a motorcyclist like me, then you definitely want to be part of the Royal LePage RC club, or Royal LePage Riding Club. And again, reason there is that you get a lot of exposure, whether you are working with 1 or 20 different groups. So the more groups that you're part of, the more exposure you're going to get. International referrals, if you guys are not aware of Nelia Lewis, she is our international referral person at head office, and through your manager, your broker manager in your office, you will be able to get whatever you need in terms of international referrals. If you need a referral in the US, or you need that referral in, I don't know, Timbuktu, if you need a referral in Germany. I asked her once for a referral in Germany. I asked her for somebody in Portugal. I asked her for people all over the place. So if you need a referral to be given to somebody and you want to get connected, you very easily have an international referral network, and your contact person at head office is Nelia Lewis, and you can definitely connect with Nelia through your manager. they can get you whatever you need from there. Any questions on that one? Boy, you're a quiet group. All right. So, direct mail program. Who uses direct mail still? Anybody? Shame on you. You should be using direct mail. There's nothing wrong with it. I like it. I honestly feel that direct mail is something that if you are not farming, you should be farming. And I know that some people don't believe in farming, but I do. I think just about any successful realtor that you have out there right now, any successful large team that you're dealing with, you will see that they are still doing farming. And the farm is just consistent, keeping your face out there. So you're going to talk
Ahmed,
about, yeah.
Ahmed, didn't we kind of put the hand drops or the drop cards to the side during COVID? Are people back doing them again?
Oh yeah. Everybody's
like I've noticed in my own house where I used to get 10, I'm now getting 2 or 3.
Wow, that's unfortunate. So right now, as you know, we've got very, very, very little inventory, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are trying to drum up inventory and you've got buyers, how are you gonna, nobody wants to talk to your face. No one wants we had somebody complain on one of our Facebook pages in the Clarkson area. Somebody was complaining that there was a newbie, a realtor knocking on their doors in COVID time, during COVID time. They were complaining. Now, this realtor was trying to drum up some business. Clearly, we are very, very, very short of inventory right now. And because we're short of inventory, buyers are competing for listings and having to pay a lot of money. And prices keep going up and up and up. So how else do you get listings without knocking on people's doors? You have to.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is that, what are your thoughts on going back to the mail drops? Do you think it's time, not time?
I would certainly continue to keep doing mail drops because out of sight, out of mind. It's the same thing as stopping to market when things are not happening. Or when you get too busy. I'm too busy, so I'm going to stop marketing for now. And then all of a sudden, your pipeline dries up again.
Yeah.
I personally believe in keeping your face out there, whether it's newsletters, whether it's flyers, postcards, whatever you need to do. Obviously, we're not doing any open houses right now, so you can't promote open houses, but definitely your just listed, just sold cards are still gonna drum up some business for you. We all know as soon as a lawn sign goes up, next thing you know, it's like somebody just threw a bunch of seeds across the street, and there are lawn signs everywhere. So as soon as you send out just listed cards, people start thinking, well, maybe I need to sell too. I was thinking about selling. If my neighbor is selling, maybe I need to start thinking about what I need to do to sell too. And I can tell you a lot of people consistently are coming to me right now and saying, I'm gonna cash out and I'm gonna move out of town. I'm gonna move somewhere where it's less expensive, where I can get a bigger property. And I hear that over and over and over. I've got 120 realtors or so right now. And I can tell you, even my own family, I've been hearing from several different people and friends saying, you know what, I've got a small townhouse in Mississauga. I can get $900,000 for that. And I can move out to an hour and a half away. I don't need to work in the city. I don't need to be close by. I just need something small. I can go and buy something up in, I don't know, up in God's land out there, where you drive 2 hours to Toronto, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'll be doing Zoom calls so that I don't have to actually walk in the office. So there are a lot of things like that happening. And if your card is not out there, if your face is not out there, if you're not picking up the phone and calling, remember that guy, Mike Lipkin, used to say, he wrote a book on, he says that luck follows the brave, or luck finds the brave, or something to that extent. And I really believe in that. Unless you are brave enough to go knocking on doors, or, picking up the phone and calling to people, there's no such a thing as luck. You can make your own luck. Instead of waiting till the phone to ring, you pick up the phone and make it ring. And all these things, whether you send out a postcard, or whether you're doing ads on the internet, or whether you are somehow creating some sort. I've got a little hot lady right now that came into my office, and I don't mean hot as in looking hot, Cindy. I just mean hot as in she's on fire hot, right, Cindy? So this young lady actually is doing some very unique marketing, where she goes in and she finds properties, and she posts about the properties and talks about the properties. She doesn't specifically say where the property is. She doesn't give details about the property, but she goes in and gets information, posts it all over the place, and she gets people talking. And then when people talk to her about, oh, where's this property? Oh, I was just showing this property today. And she doesn't take a picture from outside or anything. But she posts all kinds of information, and she gets people talking. And then once they're talking, then she's able to connect with them and get more of whatever it is that they're looking for, and move forward with it. So your marketing plan, please make sure your marketing plan is extremely specific. So when I'm talking about home staging, what does that mean? Am I just doing home staging? No, there should be a whole paragraph behind that. It shouldn't just say, well, we're going to do open house. Well, we're going to do home staging. Well, we're going to do the floor plans. No, I want to see a lot of details behind every single one of these. Now, obviously, when you're leaving your CMA with your client, then you're going to leave it bare like this, right? This is where you're going to say, yep, we're going to do open house, we're going to do home staging, we're going to do floor plans, we're going to do feature sheets, we're obviously going to take pictures. Now, are you taking drone photography? Are you taking high definition photography? Are you giving them information? Be extremely specific, very specific. I'm not just doing floor plans. I'm doing an elaborate this and this and that. I'm doing the walkthrough tour. I'm doing so the home staging, what kind of home staging? And again, go into very detail with who your stager is, give some background information, talk about your team, talk about what it is that these people, be very, very, very specific. What you're looking for is rich information. When you're talking about an open house, well, there are different types of open houses, and how are you going to do these open houses? Talk about marketing your open houses. Talk about going door to door and having one of your newbies in your office knock on everybody's door in the community and let them know that there's an open house coming. Talk about follow-up to the open house. Talk about the stuff that you're going to send out and stuff that you're going to follow with afterwards. You may even want to, call the whole entire neighborhood. Do you know that we have something called telelisting? Are you guys all signed up for telelisting? Because telelisting is the way that you're going to be calling the neighborhood. And it's free to all of our loyal pagers. We don't charge for the telelisting account. You all should be part of that. You all should have a telelisting account. If you don't, talk to your administrator, make sure you get it done, okay? There's so many different ways, but the most important thing is rich material, okay? And now don't leave that rich material with them. Talk about the basics, but don't leave it with them. So office benefits, the fact that we have 10 locations, the fact that we're all over the GTA, the fact that we've got about 1,300 realtors, office hours, we're open. If you are working in downtown Toronto, but your client is in Oakville and they want to drop off paperwork, they can leave it in Oakville for you. If they want to drop off, let's say, for example, the deposit. My office is open right now. It's been open during pretty much the entire pandemic time, and anybody can stop by and drop off a check instead of having to go to your own office downtown Toronto or in, South Oakville or something, and they're in North Mississauga, they can come by and drop it off. So you have all these facilities that are there to take care of you and your clients and use it. It's the idea is to say, I've got this whole network. And as a matter of fact, we have in Royal LePage a standing understanding that you can stop by at any of our offices across Canada, and we welcome you to use one of our closing rooms for an hour or two. So you've got all that available to you. Yes, Said.
Yeah, just a quick question regarding the previous slide. You talked about the staging. These days, a lot of discussion around virtual staging. Would it have the same impact as an actual staging? Because you can bring the buyer into the door, but it will not have the same impact as if it was actually staged. So you think it's an equal replacement going through the virtual staging?
So I don't think it's equal replacement, but it is definitely very close. If a property is totally vacant, the idea is you've got the, let's call it the resume, right? You've got the resume and then you want to get the interview. So using the resume, which is really the pictures that you're going to put online, right? So the pictures that you put online are going to be your resume. And the presentation that you're going to have online is going to be part of that resume. Now, if I see the pictures on the internet and I say, wow, this looks amazing, I want to go and look at this property, then I go and I find it vacant, I may not like it as much because of the fact that now I can't, imagine what it looked like, but really the pictures kind of give you an idea of what it could look like, right? So when I'm looking to buy a suit and I see it on a mannequin and I say, wow, that looks nice on the mannequin. Had I seen the suit just hanging there, I don't know what it looked like. It's a little different, right? I may still like the material. I may still like the way the suit looks, the cut, the color, that sort of thing. But I can't imagine what it looks like unless I actually saw it on a mannequin. So for some people, they can imagine what it looks like. For others, no, not so much. So having the virtual staging, some people swear by it, that it actually does sell homes. It's a tool in your toolbox. It's less expensive than having to do a full staging. So you can put that as one of your offerings, right? So when we talk about tools in your toolbox, virtual staging is another tool that you can have in your toolbox, and it doesn't cost as much as actually staging the property. So obviously it doesn't have the same effect in terms of actually walking into the property and looking around and going, wow, it looks awesome because it's staged. But when you see it online, it gets people to go and look at the property instead of looking at the property online and seeing that it's vacant. When it's vacant online, it's just a bunch of pictures of empty rooms, right? But when you see it staged online, then it gives you that little extra. So yes, you can put that as one of the things that you have in your toolbox. Cindy?
Ahmed, in your opinion, when we then do the listing, should we put on there virtually staged? As long as we're not changing anything. I just saw one where they put in this like magnificent modern fireplace in this house that needed so much work.
Right. So that's where you have to be really careful to not mislead people. So if it looks like a fireplace that was something as a piece of furniture versus a fireplace that looks like it could have easily been a built-in fireplace. So we have
So the old rule, if you turn it upside down, the house upside down, if it falls, then that's considered.
Sure, absolutely. But really, I would be really careful not to mislead people. So as long as it's not misleading and it looks good.
I actually thought that was misleading.
Yeah, so then that's not right. It's not, wow, that fireplace looked amazing in the picture. Where's the fireplace when I show up? That's not.
So do you think we should put in there then that it's virtually staged?
absolutely. If you,
Okay.
you know,
Like I've only done it a couple of times, but just on small condos.
yeah,
Otherwise I would stage.
you know, pictures of empty rooms isn't very attractive. And so when you do the virtual staging, it certainly does make that resume look a lot nicer. And then it brings you people to come and look at the property.
Okay, thanks, thanks, Sam.
And it's just,
Should
again,
we
it's one of
actually
those things you can keep.
mention somewhere that it is virtually staged just so that not to mislead people?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the comments below, you can always put down, you know, it's been virtually staged. Property has been virtually staged. That's pretty simple. All right. So what's a CMA? A CMA is a property, let's call it, it's a price that you came up with. It's yes, it's comparative market analysis. That's what it stands for, CMA, comparative market analysis. So you're doing an analysis. Now, at the end of the day, that analysis is really you. You are coming up with a particular price. Obviously, you're going to be basing that price on properties that have already sold, properties that have been selling. But do you know 100% what that price is going to be when it sells? No, there's no way you come up with a price. If today you listed my condo in the building where I'm at, and there were no other listings on the market whatsoever, and you came up with a price and you told me that it should sell for this much, and then tomorrow 10 other properties within the building all of a sudden came on the market, do you think it's still going to sell for that price? No. So you can't guarantee prices 100%. Same thing with the house. You know, all of a sudden there was no other comparative that's the exact same or similar type of property on a particular street. You put up the property for sale, and next thing you know, 10 other people just listed, and it's now the property you're looking at and going, oh my God, what am I going to do, right? That can present a huge problem. So your comparative market analysis is based on what you know and what you're thinking you're going to sell at today. Now, again, there are different strategies, and the way things are going today, we list a property, we're hoping that it's going to sell for a particular amount of money, and next thing you know, it sells for a lot more money, and it sells in 2 days. Your client comes back to you and says, maybe we underpriced it. Maybe we should take it off the market. I know you got me $100,000 more than the asking price, but obviously we must have really messed up with your CMA. Your CMA just didn't make any sense. How can you possibly list it for that, and then we got $100,000 more? Clearly, we're leaving money on the table. We messed up. You gave me a wrong number. The way the market is today, that's going to happen. People are going to come back to you and say, well, this is crazy. So obviously, by managing expectations, by making sure that you've got a plan, by making sure that your strategy is well communicated to your client. So if I'm listing a property that I know should be selling in a normal market, should be selling at $850,000, and I'm going to decide to list it at $799, holding back offers for a good week to ensure that we get market exposure, because again, it's about market exposure, right? And if you get enough people walking into that property, you made the property, have that wow effect. It looks nice. It's easy to show, all those nice things. And then you get 150,000 over the list price, which is really about 100,000 over what you should have sold it for in today's market. That's a norm. Believe it or not, today, that is a norm. That is what exactly is going on. And why? Because there are a lot of people that are looking to buy, and there are not enough properties for them to purchase. So make sure expectations are set. Make sure strategy is well communicated. Make sure that you're letting your clients know how you will be handling things to get them the most amount of money in their pocket. And that's really one of the key factors is communication. Communicate your strategy, communicate what you're planning on doing, communicate when you get the preemptive offers, everything from A to Z. So you are going to begin your first contact with the client. You need to find out information. We all know that we need to find out, all the different information about the property. One of the most important things, obviously, is to ask the seller what they think their property is worth. Because no matter what you think it's worth, they're going to keep playing around and saying, well, so-and-so said I can get this much for it. So-and-so said, the property down the street sold for this much. And it's very comparable to my property. How they figure that out, I'm not sure, because they've never taken a look on the inside of the home, but they think it's very comparable to their property. Anyways, so it's really, really, really important to make sure that you know where their head is at, so that you can formulate a proper strategy when you're putting together a CMA. If you think that they're looking for a high number and it's absolutely unachievable, then you have to make sure that you're realistic and you're being somewhat straightforward with them in order to make sure that you get that listing. So make sure you get information on the property. Obviously, you're going to go and get all the information from GeoWarehouse, from Property Line, from all the places where we normally get our information to ensure that it is all correct and not made up. You will verify that information with the seller to ensure that the information that you're using is correct. But most importantly, please always double check with the Property Line and the GeoWarehouse information. And then you have to ask about improvements. Have they done any improvements to the property since they purchased it? How long ago were these improvements done? And then you talk about all the different things. One of the other things I'd like to make sure that you also are aware of, which seems to be coming up on a consistent basis, is obviously extras, things that are rented. Okay, so if you're talking about a rental furnace, if you're talking about rental air conditioning, those things can cost the seller quite a bit of money when you go to pay them out at the end of the, when you're going to sell the property. Sometimes they are not transferable to the new buyer, or if they are transferable, the new buyer doesn't want to deal with it. They don't want to have to worry about buying it out for $24,000. So you want to make sure that these things are looked after. So always ask questions about any equipment that is rented and when it was rented and contracts and so forth, because those are really, really important things that you can deal with. So information sources, obviously, you're going to look at the active MLS listings. You're going to look at past MLS listings. You're going to look at expired listings. You're going to look at impact and GeoWarehouse. So when you are going into the GeoWarehouse, you can always look at properties that are similar to that particular one. So you want to look at similar properties. You're looking at things like, the size of the lot. You can buy reports on different things, so you can find information about the square footage of that particular property that you're comparing or that you're putting a CMA for. I think one of those is like $5 to buy on GeoWarehouse. But most importantly, you're looking at what is going to compete with the property when you put on the market. Active MLS listings are going to be your competition, right? That's what you're competing with. Past MLS listing gives you an idea of what they've been selling for over the last while. It's really important that these days you look and see whether the property was marketed, given enough exposure on the market, whether it was put on the market and sold the same day or 2 days later, that sort of stuff. Because if it hasn't really been exposed to the market enough, then maybe they've left some money on the table and you might be able to get more money for it. So those are the kind of things that you're looking at. Nowadays, we don't get a whole lot of expired listings. Sometimes what you end up seeing is that people terminate the listing and put it back on the market if it's been on the market for a week or two, just because it's been on the market too long. These days, a week or two on the market, believe it or not, they think it's a little too long. An incredible place that we're at today. So active listings is your competition. past MLS sales are going to be an indicator of what you can sell it for, hopefully. And then, of course, you have to make some adjustments. So it's really important to do your research. Make sure that when you're looking at these properties, if you haven't seen them yourself, because you haven't been going out looking at the inventory, it's important that you understand comparing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. Obviously, you're going to do a property tax assessment and history on impact in terms of comparables. Again, you know, if a property has been assessed for this much, it should be about the same as a property assessed for that much. I'm saying should be because they don't always show that way. And we all know that the assessment value on impact is nowhere near the real value of a property in most cases. So MLS history of when property was last sold or listed for sale, that gives you an idea. Has any of you used the HPI? Do you use HPI when you're doing your presentations, when you're doing your research and the CMA and your CMAs? Anybody? HPI? Yes, no, maybe?
Explain it.
What's that?
Explain it.
Sure. HPI explain. Hold on. Let me get out of here for a second. Let me go into here and I will. So when you go on the Toronto Real Estate Board website, if you have not used the, how do I get rid of this thing on top here? Holy Maloney. Sandra, help.
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get rid of this thing on top here so I can actually see my, okay, I'm just gonna make this smaller so I can see it. Here, this is, no, that's Urbanation. All right. So when you go on the Toronto Real Estate Board, is it gonna allow me in? No, of course not. Bear with me here for a minute and I'll show you exactly where to go to get the HPI. Is there anybody that uses HPI? You guys use it at all? Anybody?
I'm not sure that I know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, if you
Is
don't know
this
what I'm talking
something
about,
that-
then you don't use it for sure.
Is it something that talks about?
But I
the
might call it
history of the
something
property?
else.
Is it something that what? Ally?
I said, I,
Sort of gives you detail about the history of the property, how many times it was
No,
sold.
no,
changed?
HPI is the, no, it's an index. It's the home price index.
oh,
HPI is the home price index, which is
Oh,
right
okay.
there. So when you go into the Toronto Real Estate Board website, you can go into the tools that you have, and one of the tools they have is the HPI index right here. Okay, so this gives you an idea. Now it started around 2000. I think the benchmark is 2005. So if your client purchased a property, let's say 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, and said, can you tell me what the price is about this, you know, right now? I haven't really done a whole lot of changes to the property, but I'd like to know how much it's worth today. So obviously you would know, you know, year over year in general, last year prices went up 10%. The year before that, the prices went up 7%. The year before that, the prices went up 15%. The year before, you can do that, right? You can kind of look back and say, overall prices went up. Well, this digs a lot deeper. It digs a lot deeper in terms of an area, a specific area. So if you're looking for Clarkson area, right? If you're looking for C1 in Toronto, or if you're looking for C8 in Toronto, right? And you're looking for a specific type of property, you're looking for a detached home, you're looking for a semi-detached home, you're looking for a condo, or you're looking for a townhouse, right? And that property was sold 5 years ago, you can actually find out using this index exactly how much it has appreciated according to the Toronto Real Estate Board's numbers year over year for that particular area and that particular property type. So that's your HPI, your home price index. Now, how to use it, it's pretty simple. So they have charts, and that house price index is, in order to use it, you basically use the charts. So here, how do I use it? You go down here. You're thinking, Ahmed, where are you going? So,
We think that all the time, sweets.
oh, thanks. So now we're in the home price index. We go into how to use it. Okay, how you use it. Down here at the bottom, you can see there's an actual formula to use this HPI. So you're going to take the current today's price index. So you're going to look up. So you can see the chart here in Toronto, for example. You're going to go with W3 or W2 or whatever, and then you're going to look for the type of home. So here you've got single family detached, single family attached, and there's also a composite for the entire area. You can actually go right through into the basic details. So in let's say in Toronto Real Estate Board market, their market evaluation that goes out the market watch that goes out every month, you will see the HPI, the home price index, every single month. So Cindy calls me today and says, Ahmed, Bob and I live in this home. It's a detached house. We live in I don't know, C8, and can you just let me know? We haven't really made any changes. We've had the house for 8 years. We haven't really made any changes to the house, but I'd like to know what my house is worth today. Can you do, you know, an analysis for me? And I'll go in without looking at her property. She hasn't done any changes, and I'm going to go in and look at a single detached home in C8. So today's value, today's value in terms of the index value, right? So I'm going to take the index value, which is, let's say, is 1.5, and I'm going to go back 8 years ago. So for February 2012 or 14, right? I'm going to pull out the her index, the number for that, and let's say it was 1.3 or something. So I'm going to take the two numbers and plug them into the little thing here, which is basically today's index number. So today's index number would be 1.5, and divide that by yesterday's index number, or 8 years ago's index number, which is 1.3. So I do that calculation first, then I go -1, and then I multiply by 100. So index number for today over the index number of yesteryear, -1, multiply by 100. And that gives you the increase of year over year. So it might be between then and today, not year over year, but since they bought it to today. That's what an HPI number gives you. So, and it'll say it's actually gone up in price by 80% in those 8 years, or 90%, or 180%. So that's the number that you're getting. When you get 180%, when you multiply by 100, 180% of the value that they paid for it 8 years ago. So, and that is pretty close to what you're going to come up with in most cases, if they have not done any changes to the property. Okay. So that's how you use the HPI. So
Ahmed?
price index. Yes.
Ahmed? So
Yes.
for example, if in 2005, which is your base year,
Yeah.
okay, say in 2005, they paid 1.4 for it.
Right.
And then
So-
you look up, so that would be 100, right? Because your index is 100 in 2005. And then you look up the index for now in that area that you're going, and it says 158.7. You take 158.7 over 100 minus the 1, times 100 equals the rate of increase, and you multiply that times her previous costs that she paid?
You got it, exactly. That's
Okay,
exactly
so
right.
but when you say minus 100, you mean that the index is 1.58 over
So-
one.
Right, but you'll see here when let's see, control plus plus.
Because here it's saying 157. What
Right.
you're saying is 157 over 100, if the base year is 205, equals 57.8 minus 1? You said minus 1 times 100?
Correct. So let's say, for example, so let's say the property that we're looking at is the one in Toronto W1.
Yeah.
Okay, up here.
Yeah.
Let's say, and the number here is 158.7.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take 158.7
Uh-huh.
over 100.
Yep.
Which gives us
50. 1.58
okay.
minus
Now
1
minus 1. So
equals
you've got 58
times 100.
times 100, which gives you 58%. So the
58%.
property, yeah, so the property would have gone up by 58%. So you take that 58% and you go 1.58 times whatever the purchase price was, because it's 1 plus the 58%, right?
Yep. It's
So-
the new purchase price.
Is
Then
that-
could you add the cost of what we would assume would be the improvement? Say they
Exactly.
did add a roof and they did add 4 new garage doors and they added a pool, and you would add that in.
Absolutely. So if there was improvement, then you have to consider the improvements as well, of course.
Okay.
And again, this is a very desktop type of CMA. You haven't seen the property. You don't really know what's going on. But let's say every year, for example, you're sending out to your clients, to your database, and you're saying, listen, by the way, Joanne, by the way, Bob, I'm sending you this to let you know that last year your house was worth this much. Today, your house is worth this much. You haven't gone to look at the property. You haven't done anything. But what you're doing is, based on the house price index, Bob and Cindy, your house today is worth this much. If you want a more detailed or a more exact number, I am happy to come out and take a look at the property myself and give you even a better idea of what it's really worth, right? But this HPI is very powerful in that it allows you to give them a number based on the stats and nothing more than what is the stats in their particular neighborhood for that particular type of house.
Ahmed, question, is this the tool being used by many websites, including ours, when we offer this service saying that, okay, if you want to find out how much is your home worth, then this is what is being used in the background?
It may be, Saeed, I'm not quite sure. There are a lot of different factors that some of these automated machines do in order to take in the numbers. I know that for appraisal, some of the websites that are they use a much more sophisticated, yes, there's an HPI for sure, a house price index of a sort. And they do use the Toronto Real Estate Board numbers. So I would say it's very close to what you're looking at. This just gives you a really good idea of, here's basically what you're looking at in terms of numbers. I invite you to go into the Toronto Real Estate Board and house price index and get a better understanding. If you need any extra help, you reach out to your manager. Your managers should be able to explain all this stuff. I mean, we certainly try to make sure that we know what we're doing with all this. And I do presentations for my newer folks in my office and some of the older folks who need some updating as well in my particular office. And I'm sure all your managers would love to sit with you and go over this stuff if you need to. So,
Can I just ask a quick question?
Cindy.
This might be too nitty gritty, but you were talking about improvements, but not all improvements would be 100%.
In
You
terms
think?
of dollars, absolutely. I'm not going to put in $100,000 of, my ex and I actually put in $100,000 improvements to the backyard. We put in a swimming pool.
Okay,
I'm
but
actually going to get
that,
$100,000 back. Not even
That-
worth it.
what's that?
Yeah, I'm not going to get $100,000
No.
back for that.
And the pool was the example I was going for.
Yeah, for sure. So, we
Some
spent
people don't care.
Yeah, we spent $100,000 putting in a pool. Is it really worth the $100,000 in terms of return on investment? Absolutely not.
But if
So
I put 50 grand into a kitchen, I can get closer to,
you might be able to get 75 grand back.
yeah,
right?
okay.
So you
It
need to know
depends on
what
the
it's-
the
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to know what it's worth rather than what it, how much
Okay,
it spends. Yeah.
thanks,
No problem. So those are the kind of things that you're going to be looking at. So yeah, absolutely. Use the HPI. Use the urbanation report. If you don't know the urbanation reports, they are very rich. This is urbanation right here.
Ahmed does a great one.
Oh, thank you. All I do is print out reports, guys.
I know, but I was trying to make you sound better, Ahmed.
Oh, thanks, Cindy. So the urbanation reports are very rich. They give you 5 quarters of what the prices have been going for in the building per square foot. So you've got price per square foot for a condominium building. You've got also, if you've got someone who's looking to invest money and they're buying for investment in a condominium, it's a great idea to look at what they obviously would be renting for. So there's rental prices per square foot. There's the maintenance price per square foot in each building, and you can compare building to building to building. If you are working with a client who's looking to invest money in building A, B, and C, well, you may want to steer them a little closer to that building because the return on his investment will be much better, or carrying costs will be all covered and there'll be a cash flow that's a positive cash flow rather than a negative one. So again, with this urbanation reports, there's a lot of information that you can get that will help you tremendously. And these reports are there for you through your manager. We spend about $15,000 every year to be members of urbanation in order to be able to pull these reports for you.
How do you access these reports? Just request our
yeah, who's your manager, Syed?
Sam.
Sam. So just talk to Sam, and Sam will pull out the urbanation report for you for whichever. Now, if you're also got clients, we're constantly hearing, do you have any access to pre-construction? Does anybody have access to pre-construction? This pre-construction thing is big. Okay, well, we can give you a lot of reports on proposed pre-construction sites in a particular area, in a particular neighborhood, from a particular developer. All that information is right here at Urbanation. Okay, so again, you can use these tools, so many different tools that you have at your fingertips, and please do use them because that's what they're there for. All right, let me go back to the presentation. I think that was right here. Yep.
Ahmed, do you provide an in-service on how to use Urbanation?
Do I provide an insert?
Well, does the,
Royal LePage?
yeah.
So you don't get to actually go in to pull the reports.
Oh,
I can tell you how to use the reports.
okay.
So because we believe it or not, Mary, for $15,000 we get access for 12 people. I think only 12 people can have an access to the Urbanation platform. So each manager, that's why each manager in each office would have access. And I can, sit with my realtor and go over what it is that we provide and we're able to provide. So we talk about the different types of reports that we can pull. There is a quarterly market report that comes out on the condo market itself, on the rental market, on it is so rich with information. But the actual reports that you get from Urbanation on each particular building, those are very, very helpful when you are dealing with someone who is looking to either buy or sell a condo. And we're talking about the high-rise condos, not the low-rise. Low-rise, they don't keep a lot of information on in terms of condos. So townhouses and that sort of thing, but definitely the high-rise condos, you have so much information at your fingertip. And you know, get a couple of reports, and you'll see that there's a lot of information that you can use. And I, you know, when I'm presenting our session on assignments, for example, I always talk to people about going to the original financing company that bank that financed the building. And believe it or not, that information is available within the Urbanation report. So if you wanted to go directly to, you know, if TD was the original bank that was financing, or RBC financing that particular development, it's best to go directly to them for financing, because they know all about the building and how they supported it. And so you can get the financing from there. That information is available on the Urbanation report. So that's something that, again, when you say, how do we use the report? There's so many different ways that you can definitely use that report, because it makes just a lot of sense. So, no problemo. Going back to your CMA and your research. So the research is extremely important. You have to know where you're at in terms of supply, demand, properties, values that are selling in the neighborhood for that particular time that you're in. Believe it or not, last week, one of my realtors relisted a property that had been listed and sold a month before. So let's say a month ago, this particular unit was listed for $600,000, sold for $619,000, sold firm. And then the buyer, for whatever reason, wasn't able to get the financing done. So we were called, we put it back on the market for them. We had not sold it the first time. It was sold by somebody else, by another brokerage. We put it on the market. Within a month, we sold it for $68,000 more a month later. It was sold firm. It showed on the MLS that it was sold firm for $619. So everybody knew the price it had sold at. And then a month later, it sells for an extra $67,000. Like, wow. This is how quickly the market is changing. This is how quickly the market is moving. People are willing to pay more. And it's really important that you know what's going on. What's that? Oh, somebody popped in and out. All right. Good comparables are really important. Obviously, if you can't find good comparables, go talk to your manager, and you know, you can bang your heads together and come up with some comparables that will make some sense. Obviously, you want something in the local market. If you can use Geo Warehouse to look at the comparables in terms of the area, and be able to find something in terms of the size of the property, the size of the actual, size of the actual building on the property, you know, detached, semi-detached, or whatever, and all the different features that particular property gets together. At the end of the day, believe it or not, it's a gut feeling as to what it is you really, really, really think you're going to be able to sell this property for. Sometimes other issues that come into play is whether the property is easily accessible. So if you have a tenant in the property, for example, and you're not going to be able to have enough showings, that's going to definitely make a difference in terms of the price that you're going to be able to get for your client at the end of the day. If you are able to do more with the way the property shows or less, again, if somebody's being difficult about the number that they're looking for and they're pushing, it will make a difference every single time in terms of how you're going to be able to sell that property. So, you know, I get a gut feeling at the end of the day. Somebody asks me, Ahmed, I've done this and this and this and this. What do you think the price should be? And then I go within 5 minutes, I get a feeling of what I look at the solds, I look at the, you know, what's currently on the market. I look at when they bought it. I look at something to do with the condition that I talk about. And then I come up with a number and I say, I think you're going to probably be looking at this. And where'd you get that number? Well, you know, I guess I've been doing this for a while and I got a good feeling for it. That's how I feel, right? So today, speaking about the time, the reason I said that within a month that this particular agent that I had was able to get $87,000 more for the property than it was sold for a month prior, is to just let you know what the time is kind of like these days. Understanding that timing is extremely important. People keep coming to me and asking me, this crazy market that we're in, should I tell people to hold on and wait till next year? What do you think? I can tell you my answer every single time is they're going to be paying more for it next year. I guarantee you that. They're paying for it more when they wait for a month. You know, I saw a cartoon the other day. It said, you know, what do you think of the property? But if you want something a little bit more expensive, you can wait till tomorrow and we'll show you the same property again. You know, and it's so real. You know, today the property is worth 100,000. Tomorrow it's worth 105. You know, just within a day or two, people are willing to pay more because there just aren't enough properties. So timing is really, really important. Obviously, location. You guys should know your inventory. You should never, ever be selling stuff in different areas when you don't know the inventory. You can leave a lot on the table and you're like fish out of water. If you don't understand what you're doing in London, Ontario, and you go out there and you're listing a property and then you find out all kinds of crazy information about it afterwards because you really don't know the area, it's best to leave it to somebody who knows what they're doing in that area. So location is really important. Get to know the properties in your area and make sure that you're familiar with everything. Always, always, always go out and look at the inventory consistently. Even during COVID, you know, dress properly, make sure you're taking all the precautions, you know, wear gloves, don't touch anything, you know, don't breathe, hold your breath when you're walking around. Okay, fine, don't do that. Breathe. But honestly, make sure that you go out and still look at properties. It's important because they come and go really quickly and you don't get to see what's going on in the market out there. Obviously, physical characteristics are going to make a difference. If you've got a property that backs onto a ravine, or you've got a property that has a walkout, if you've got a property that has a beautiful view of some sort or another, I can tell you that in my building here, I prefer to be on that side instead of being on this side. Why? Because traffic patterns and the noise from the traffic, you know, when you're looking at a building, you're looking at things like the parking, where is the trash compactor and the noise from the trash compactor, where's the elevator, that kind of stuff. It's the same thing with any property that you're working with. The characteristics, physical characteristics of each property is going to be different. When you're make sure that you're checking everything to do with that property. Is it backing onto the hydro line? Is it backing onto train tracks? Is it backing? I mean, how do you know this stuff? You're going to know it by looking at the property and doing a Google search and doing a Google map and going over the property to see what's behind the property, right? So all that stuff you can do while you're sitting at home without actually having to go and look at the property, because God forbid you go and you go and give them a price, you find out afterwards that particular day the trains weren't running, but guess what? They normally run every 20 minutes. and you just didn't hear them when you were at the property that day. So it's important to know everything about the property.
Ahmed, a question here.
Sure.
Where is the best source, or what is the best source to find out what inventory is available in a certain area? Is MLS is the best source, or there's something else?
Well, you've got a lot of different things available to you. Obviously, MLS, you are in Oakville, so you're probably part of the Oakville Real Estate Board, as well as the Toronto Real Estate Board in most cases. So you've got access to both the West Side MLS and the regular Toronto MLS, let's call it that. So you've got huge access to inventory. Now, obviously, other than that, you've got other systems like Broker Bay, for example, and the exclusive network that Broker Bay has. So between all those different things, you definitely, for residential properties, you definitely have access to just about anything. If it was commercial, it would be different. We'd be talking about other, searches and so on. But for residential properties, MLS is the most important place you're going to find stuff. And then, of course, Broker Bay's exclusive property network is an important place to look at properties as well. But most people nowadays, honestly, if they don't have it on MLS, they're kind of trying to hide it away from people, which doesn't make sense. Why would you take a listing and then hide it? But there might be different reasons for that. But MLS and Broker Bay's exclusive network is where you're going to find properties. Obviously, you never ever want to give a definite number. You want to give a range, right? So you always want to give a range in terms of a price. I think in the worst case scenario, this is what kind of number we should be getting. And in the best case scenario, we might be getting up in that, in that range. Now, my strategy is going to be this. Today, a lot of people, what they're doing in terms of their strategy is to price just below market value, hold back for a week or two, and just wait to see what the market conditions are going to bring them, simply because there's just multiple offers like nuts. So that seems to be the going strategy out there. There are different strategies, obviously. You can list it just above market value and negotiate a lower price. Being able to be open to get a price less than the list price, which is crazy to be thinking these days. I'm not sure that people actually think it nowadays. If you didn't get above list price nowadays, that people are thinking you must have done something wrong, right? That's absolutely nuts. Cover of your CMA should include your name, address, the name and address of the seller, obviously your information, your logo, and so on. We have adopted a hardcover presentation thing with the heat, the heat seal stuff that we use now in our office. It's something that I stole from my JMD days when I was at JMD. We always use these gorgeous covers, hard covers for presentations. And I think that's what you need to do, is to strive to put together an incredible presentation. And the cover is definitely something that will make a difference. So a really, really nice cover for your presentation. Obviously full color, something very impressive, because again, this is something that you're going to leave with them. In my thoughts, that you don't leave your detailed presentation with the client, but you leave them with an executive summary of what it is that you are thinking of doing. So you've talked about how extensive your work is going to be and how detailed it was, but what you're leaving with them is a very simple a price for the property that is a range rather than an exact, a summary report of the properties that you've used for coming up to that number. So list prices of properties that will compete with the property right now, and obviously sold prices of properties that have been sold, some expired perhaps, But at the end of the day, you don't need to give them all that information. You just need to give them a one-page summary of the actual price. So your one-page summary of, or an executive summary, I would call it, of what the your value of that property would have been. So that's your CMA right there. Now, you know, you talk about, I've used this, I've used that. It's kind of, have you ever seen a letter of opinion? If you use the letter of opinion, it's kind of like that. The letter of opinion is basically, in my opinion, based on the properties that I've looked at, based on the location, based on this, based on that, this is the number I've come up with. It's a range between here and there, and it's really based on what our strategy is going to be when we list your property. If you want to do this, then it may be something different, and we'll go from there. And then when you talk about marketing, again, you're talking about your basic marketing. I'm going to market as discussed and explained. You know, we're going to do an open house. We're going to put a sign on the lawn. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do web advertising. You don't go into details with the paperwork that you're going to leave with them about your web advertising. You're not going to talk about, you know, your social media campaigns. You're not going to talk. So you're just going to say the highlight of what it is you're going to do, but you're not going to go into specifics with what you're going to leave with them. And that would be my recommendation. Now, obviously, you can do what you feel is best for you. If you decide that you want to leave the entire detailed information with them, then you're probably leaving yourself open for somebody to copy what you are doing, and just take your ideas and your detail and use it for themselves. So those are the things that you really need to be careful with. Obviously, you know, expired listings, your other information that you're going to put in there, things like pricing graphs, commission charts, seller net sheets. This is all stuff that you're going to put in. This is not your CMA, but this is your marketing package, right? This is your entire package, your presentation package, right? Your seller's presentation package should have all those things with it. Please do go on to, if you haven't used all the demographic information for a particular area that you're selling in, obviously go into details about the demographics. Use the demographic charts that are available to you. You know, it gives you information on who lives in the area. It gives you information, you know, their age, their ethnicity, their religion, their languages, all that stuff. And then when you talk to your seller about who you're going to market to, you have a very specific target. These are the people that are moving in the area. These are the people that live in this neighborhood. These are the people I'm going to be targeting, right? So again, using all those graphs and things, put it in your marketing plan, put it in your presentation, your listing presentation. Talk about it on high level when in the package that you're going to leave with them, but please don't leave the specifics, because again, somebody else is going to use it and have your ideas and walk away with what you've got. No one else is going to show them quite as elaborate of a plan as you have, based on all these tools, based on all these things that you're going to use. Somebody else walks in, they try to wing it and say, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we've got to, but you talked about all the specifics and how you're going to do it. Not just that you're going to do it, but how you're going to do it and how detailed you are. That will sell you a lot more than anybody else that's out there. Obviously, what we need you to do, just like everybody else, you got to practice. So your presentation, you got to practice it. You got to go and talk to your manager, go and talk to your team lead, go and talk to whoever you're working with. Talk about what it is to put this thing together and how you can make it more elaborate. The idea is take every point and elaborate on that point. It's not just about a picture, it's about how the picture was taken. It's not about a virtual tour. It's about this very detailed walkthrough virtual tour. It's not about who you're going to sell to. It's about specifically targeting the demographics that live in the area and the type of people who would want to buy this particular house. And again, it may all be smoke and mirrors, but at the end of the day, you're actually showing them that you can do a hell of a lot more than, you know, the other guy who's just putting on the MLS. The other guy's putting on the MLS. You're actually not just putting on the MLS, you're putting on the MLS to make sure that 69,000 realtors see that property. And that's why you're putting it on MLS. You're not just talking about MLS, you're talking about who's going to see it on MLS. And the fact that you have access to 2 different MLS systems and so on, right? The idea is to take that one little thing, you know, the word MLS is so simple to say, but talking about what the power of that MLS is going to do is really where you go. So taking it a lot further rather than just saying MLS. So this is my presentation, guys. And I promise you next time I'll do much better on this presentation by putting in all the updated information. Anybody have any questions?
It seems like, you know, people like us, me in particular, I'm new in the business. So it'll be a good idea to go and practice a bit within the either Stratus or Matrix with the help of our manager to see if you're, you know, heading in the right direction.
Get to know the inventory side, get to know the inventory. Inventory is really important. Knowing what's out there, you know, you don't need anybody to take you out and show you inventory. When we were at JMB, we, you know, back in the day, we used to have our Tuesday meeting, and then right after the meeting, we'd go out and look at properties, properties that were listed by JMB, so we can basically share in the knowledge. I would say that that is a very powerful tool to go out and know what products are out there. You're new, go out and get to know the properties around the neighborhood that you're going to sell. And I can tell you that it makes you so much more valuable to your clients.
Sounds good.
Mary, you have to unmute yourself.
Ahmed,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Regarding your, do you have an exemplar of a CMA? Like you mentioned a hard copy cover, and you mentioned certain things. Do you have anything like an exemplar that you could share with us, or where do we get this information?
So you guys all like to be different than each other. So if I were to give you an example and say, this is what you got to do, I would be kind of taking the whole idea of being different than each other and making it all the same. I would sit with each single one of my realtors and go through what it is that makes them unique, what it is, you know, your style is going to be different than Cindy's style, is going to be different than Said's style. So I would say, here's what you do. Now, obviously in my office, I've developed certain things that I have available to my realtors. I don't know if those same things might be available in your office. However, I can tell you that the brokerage has put together the corporate marketing services, which you can sit with any of these people, the designers, and they can give you some information on putting that stuff together. I've developed some things in my office that I'm now starting to use at Plantation Place. And I have that available to my realtors, but you wouldn't have it available to yours, for example. It's just different from office to office what we're doing. That's all.
So I have a question. Is one board better than the other? Because right now I'm in TREB. I'm a new agent. So
Okay.
it's a bit difficult to be in 2 boards right now. So do you have any advice on that?
So where's your office?
It's at Glen Abbey I'm with Laurie.
Okay. So you're with a team or you're on your own?
No, I'm on my own.
Okay. So you're in Oakville. I would it's tough because the Oakville folks, the Oakville folks like to, you know, I live in Oakville, by the way, before anybody thinks that
Yes.
I'm dissing anybody. I don't mean to diss anyone, but definitely I'll tell you that the Oakville folks like to feel and think that they are unique in what they have, but and so sometimes people put things put listings on the Oakville board system or the Ortis system, and not put them, include them within the TREB listings. Not a wise idea. I think you get a lot more eyes on TREB, but again, the whole idea of, I'm in Oakville, I'm only gonna ever be selling in Oakville. I don't need to get eyes from outside of Oakville. I can tell you that people move from outside of Oakville into Oakville consistently.
Yeah.
So you're in a tough place. You have, honestly, I feel that you have to be part of TREB no matter what, because it gives you access to so much. But Ortis is pretty powerful, so you gotta dig a little bit and spend a little bit of money to be part of that. I tell all my realtors, I'm in Mississauga. My office is in Mississauga, although I live in Oakville. My office is in Mississauga, and I can tell you that it's really important to have access to the Ortis system as well, because it gives you access to everything. I mean,
Everything? Okay.
well, you've got Guelph, you've got Simcoe, you've got Niagara, you've got obviously Oakville, Milton, you've got Hamilton, Burlington, you've got KW, Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge. You have access to so many different boards and their
Okay.
listings, right? So now that's one system, and then you've got the other system, which is the Toronto Real Estate Board system, and that system, although it's been around for a long time, it continues to keep becoming stronger and stronger, and they keep introducing more and more tools. And I think because of that, they're trying very hard to become the one system, but I think that's going to be a while yet. So you got to dig a little deeper and maybe spend an extra $900 a year in order to have access to both systems.
Thank you. Because yeah, it's a bit challenging right now because some places they only list within their board, so it's difficult to get access for the new listings right now.
Yes, I agreed. So it's for my guys, I tell them belong to Mississauga Real Estate Board. Again, if you get one listing within the Ortis system, even if it's for a rental, it pays for itself. A rental will cover the cost, the $800 cost or $850, whatever it is, for the Mississauga Real Estate Board. So
Thanks.
yeah. It's good to see you guys. Ken, Daniela, who else? I see different names here from my G&D peeps. Miss you guys all, and hope everybody's doing well.
Ahmed, I have a
We
question.
miss you too.
I have a question, Ahmed.
Okay, who's this?
Hi, it's Janine Mason.
Hi.
Hi. Quick question about Geo Warehouse. A lot of houses are going sort of off market. And is that the only, I love how you use these tools. So is Geo Warehouse comparables the only way I can access properties that have sold off market?
Unfortunately, yes, Janine. It's that's the only place where you can find out. And the registrations, they're not always updated immediately. They do take a few months to show on the system. But yes, if all those properties that are sold off market, broker bay, exclusives, whatever, definitely that's the only place where you're going to find them. Yes.
Okay, well, thanks for explaining that HPI. I really found that interesting. I didn't know that existed.
Oh, I actually did a couple of presentations back when I was at G&D on the HPI.
I'm sorry I missed it.
That's okay. But yeah, anytime, we're all here. We're all here to support you guys. All 12 managers are here to look after you. I'm not at G&D, but I am still around, and I'm happy to help every single one of you, no matter where you are within our brokerage system. So anytime, you guys can all reach out and
I can attest to that because I've called Ahmed many times.
thanks, Cindy. Yeah,
Since he's left.
you guys are all more than welcome. Anytime you need any information, I'm here. I do look after commercial, residential, And I know the tools. I've been around with the brokerage now for a while, and I know the tools that they have available. Have an awesome afternoon, and reach out and ask questions if you need to. And I'm happy to connect you with whatever tool that we've got. But your number one resource obviously is your manager. So, but we're all here for you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ahmed.
Pleasure. Take care.